over to the next segment, which is a new segment that we're introducing called Mike's Gamespresso. So it's a new feature that I'll be doing where I check out a game that I grab for $5 or under. So, the price of an espresso in Melbourne nowadays, which is approximately $5. It's ridiculous. Unless you get it at 7-Eleven, and then you can get it for $1. And don't forget that you can get two $1 cups, but press the $3 button and you can get a $3 coffee for $2 in two $1 cups if you don't give a shit about the environment. So the idea is that I go and I grab a game for $5 or under, and this week I grabbed an Aussie-made title called The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. So it's based on the classic Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson fighting fantasy book by the same name, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, which I have vague memories of having played as a kid. And I think, Swinny, you said you actually definitely remember having this book.
Yeah, and the term played is interesting. So these fighting fantasy books, the Ian Livingstone, Steve Jackson books, were role-playing games in book form where you had to roll dice or you had to basically fight monsters and stuff. But as a kid, I just basically read it like a choose your own adventure. It's like, so every battle that was in I was talking, I'm less than 8 years old, right?
Such an asshole.
I'm less than 8 years old. It probably predicted my me using exploits in games and stuff in the future.
Yeah.
But no, they were really fun. But the Warlock of Firetop Mountain was the very first one I read, and I think Death Trap Dungeon was another one that I read. And it's just I still remember the illustrations in that book. And so it was really cool to see that a Melbourne-based dev actually made a game.
Tin Man Games. I was going to mention that as well. So it was developed and published by Tin Man Games, who are from Melbourne, as you said. It's available on Nintendo Switch and PC. I played it on the Switch. Other than the initial loading time, which takes a while, the game itself runs all right. And I think it's almost perfectly suited for a Switch platform. It was released in August 2016. It's probably gone on special a few times. I bought it for, I think, $1.50. And that was before I realized that it was from a Melbourne-based dev, in which case I actually would have paid the full price. I tend to do that. And then I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't give them any money.
The first game in a budget gaming segment, we're ripping off Melbourne devs. I love it.
I don't want to rip off Melbourne devs.
Hey, they put it on sale. Sale.
We probably should talk behind the scenes about this, but, we get lots of codes all the time. Every day we get codes for games. I just delete them all.
What?
But why don't you just take advantage of some of those if you're gonna do something like this?
Well, yeah, if I knew that, if you did keep deleting them.
Well, I asked you guys many times, and then I just got over it. You guys you've got access to the Gmail and everything like that.
Yes.
Mike's now regretting his life choice.
I
could have got games for nothing.
There was even a game that came through. It was some Dark Souls 2D game.
Oh man!
He's just
seriously,
giving you shit. I
think it's just
I'm literally not. This is
I hope you didn't delete that one. That one I play.
It was called 3000 Jewel, which is, by the way, Mike, that is a second week. That's 2 weeks in a row you mentioned that game and nothing about it.
Nothing about it. Because I don't know. I just don't.
Fair enough. I did put it in
care
there
about it enough
you
anymore.
would talk about it because you're like, I'll talk about it next week.
I'm trying to help you here, Mike.
It's going to drag onto a long episode, and I need to pick my girlfriend up at about 10:30. So I don't want to pad it out too much. Yeah. Real quick, let me go back to the Warlock of Firetop Mountain to tell people about it. So, look, it's got the illustrations from the book. The way you have the battles is sort of on a grid-based tactical system. But it's not. It takes a little while to sort of understand exactly how to do it and how to predict where the enemies might go and how to place or move your character in a certain location, attack in a predictable location, avoid attacks in a certain location, that kind of thing. So I actually didn't mind. Once I got into the concept, it's quite cool. And speaking of characters, you get a roster of, I think, 8 from memory that you can play from the beginning. And then as you progress through the game, you get souls from the battles, and then you can unlock... Because it's kind of, you could call it a roguelike, kind of like reading the book. You will permanently die, and you got to go back to start the book again. It's kind of the same thing. So you die permanently, even though you get 3 attempts at reviving yourself throughout the game itself. And then you can replay the story, and you can replay the story obviously with the same character. You can pick a different character, and it's actually quite cool because different characters also have different interactions with the same thing. So far from what I've played, it's the same map. So you can make the same decisions. You know where things are going to be. So it's got that roguelike element in the sense that you know what to do the next time. You've learned from the previous experience, kind of like flipping through the book and going, I'm not going to make that decision again. Which is really cool. And there are some decisions that are literally permanently leading to death if you make the wrong decision, kind of thing. But the really cool thing about different characters and stuff is I remember the first character that I picked, I came across a locked box. And when I opened the locked box, the snake came out. Whereas with the second character that I played, he had, and I don't know which statistic in the game governs this, but they knew that there was something rattling inside, and you can stab it with a spear instead. And it's these little decisions, and even though it's the same part of the game, where you can make a completely different decision based on a completely different character, which I think is a really cool concept. I don't remember if the book had that level of characters.
I mean,
Swinny, if you remember.
It definitely had your, okay, it's pretty much like choosing your own adventure. It's like, hey, will you choose to open this chest and will it be a trap or not? It's that kind of thing. And I think they may have had roll, for a chance to see what it is as well. But then it would obviously say, if you rolled above, then go to this page, because it's not going to say, success or not. It's a book. But yeah, like I played this game a little bit. I picked it up a while back as well, completely independently of you, and I might try this out actually.
Yeah, try it out again. It's actually quite cool. It takes a little bit to get into it and to get into the combat, but it's actually quite neat. There's a lot of reading. Pretty prepared for that. And I thought, Baldur's Gate and those kind of games had a lot of reading. This is a lot more reading, and there's practically no voice acting from what I've seen. Cool sound effects and stuff. If you're a lover of the original books, this is a must play. Absolute must play. It's really, really cool. So that's all I have to say on it. So it's a big show.
My question for you: is it worth buying this or $5 cup of coffee?
Definitely this time. 100%.
Just linking it back to
good work, Tin Man Games.
Yeah, I was wondering what you're going to do. I was going to say, what's the grind setting, or how many espresso shots is this game?
This is the first one. He spice it up.
What's the first one? This is quite good. I like it. So far, I give this 4 espresso shots out of 5.
Oh, 4. That's pretty good. That's
pretty
for
good.
a $1.50 game. That's pretty good.
Look, I admit there is an element of nostalgia, and there is an element of it's a Melbourne dev. I'm
you didn't
biased.
even know that when you bought it.
No, but now that I have, this is what I'm rating it.
But it's Melbourne, Florida, so.
Oh, well, in that case. Boo, 2 stars.
All right.